Hey friends, Sleepy Reader, Damien here with some thoughts on comic books that I've read in the past week. Um, Divinity, I just finished this. Uh, this is the final issue of four. It's actually kind of open-ended. We being Unity, the superhero group, deal with Divinity for now, but we even have a discussion at the end saying who knows what's going to happen next, or we've got to figure out more to deal with him. So in that sense, it's not really very complete. I still enjoyed it a lot. It's more a science fiction story than a superhero story. The superhero parts are injected in, but I really love the science fiction elements. Incredible artwork by Trevor Hairsine, and coloring by David Barron, which is also really, really good. Um, I feel like Matt Kint is really good at the ideas. He's kind of an idea man, I feel like. And pretty good characterization. Not like the super strongest plot of all time, but very enjoyable. So I'm sure that when, as promised, Divinity 2 comes out, coming this winter, Divinity 2, that I will be picking it up. Especially because I think it has this same team. Yeah. So, and hopefully it will be in this nice edition too. I think Valiant really is the place that I should be turning for my superhero fix, but that they're all $4 books has me holding back. Again, most of the $4 ones are not with the special features of this one. So, yeah, I'll probably be getting more in trade and following some in digitally. Maybe breaking down if they're, yeah, maybe breaking down and getting some in the floppies. A $4 book that I never have a qualm about getting is Lumberjanes. This is a few weeks old now. I feel like I don't praise Lumberjanes often enough. I feel like maybe mostly I've been praising it in comments to other people. I think Reader 1717, I'm not 100% sure, but I think she's the first person to turn me on to Lumberjanes. My daughter and I used to read them digitally, but after a while, and we would wait till the price went down to $1.99. But after a while, we couldn't wait. And this is a really nice package too, on really nice paper. And I think the digital version doesn't have all the stuff about the what do you call them, the badges. So anyway, I think they're starting a new arc here, and it's been really great so far. Just this first issue is packed full of stuff, continuing what we've already enjoyed about Lumberjanes and adding more, adding new characters, adding depth to the mythos, you might say, of the camp and the magical stuff that goes on around it. So yeah, it's not faltering at all. Lumberjanes is still a hot, great comic, great to read with your kids. If I didn't have a kid, maybe I wouldn't have tried it, but now I totally love it. It's just a double bonus that my daughter loves it too. Okay, out of left field, I I got a bunch of Atlas comics recently. I read Weird Suspense featuring the Tarantula, issue #1. I found out this cover is not Neil Adams, it's Dick Giordano. Certainly looks a lot like a Neil Adams cover. Giordano at times could pull off some Adams, maybe more on a cover than when he was doing a full comic book. His storytelling wasn't like Neil Adams, etc. Anyway, it's not Neil Adams inside. It's someone named Pat Boyette. This is kind of your old school horror comic that's influenced by the Hammer horror films. And it's very crude and obvious in a lot of ways, but I kind of enjoyed it quite a bit. In a way that maybe a comic book that was trying to be more sophisticated and failed wouldn't please me as much as this comic book that really didn't have very much in the way of ambitions. It's just this guy who's been cursed by the priestess of the tarantula god to become a human tarantula himself, and he he traps in a spider web and eats bad guys. They're not like us. I'll probably go back and read this more closely. I felt myself getting a little bored. This seems like the weakest issue so far, and there's long scenes of the heroine talking with her parents, and I actually found myself starting to just skim, which I haven't done in a modern comic in a long time. I just kind of skimmed over all this stuff and got the general gist of what was going on. Still really like the art. Hopefully this issue just is kind of a lull issue, and I will continue to enjoy the rest. Given that it's issue 6, I assume in the image pattern they'll go on a break. I hope not. It would be nicer to end with a stronger issue. So it does seem like we've had it does in a way seem like the end of a first arc, because we've had the setup and the house, and now there's a splitting of the ways, and what will the results of that be? It's hard to say at this point. It's hard to see where it will go at this point, but it's definitely going to go somewhere new. Finally got a hold of 8, kind of a slightly bent up copy, but it was hard to find. My shop never got it. They never said anything to me about it. Or maybe I did say something to them about it, but anyway, this issue continues really well. It's the second to last issue of the miniseries. The characters have been really great. The art, the setup, and now the plot mechanics are setting in, where everyone's being brought together and it's making sense of who all the characters are. And so far they're doing that really well, because that's sometimes where especially a science fiction story can get kind of trite. But so far it's working out really well. We'll see if they fully land it in the final issue. As long as they even half land it, I'll feel like the story was well worth the journey. Because this has just been one of my favorite comics recently. Halfway due to the art, but it's an artist-writer, so it's one of those times where the artist-writer really is the best thing. Sometimes you kind of grimace when the artist takes over as writer. Somewhat like the other Dark Horse, my other favorite Dark Horse book, Lady Killer. Not that they're all at all alike, except that they're both artist-led books that are really successful. Here's a artist-writer also, Walt Simonson, on the 5th issue of Ragnarok. And a lot more happens in this issue, and I really like the art. I really don't like the coloring, and I'm not that crazy about the lettering. I know John Workman, ever since he worked on the original Simonson Thor run, has been kind of a legendary letterer. But in retrospect, it's just like his lettering back in Thor, I think. I get tired of this kind of lettering. And it's doesn't read easily somehow, and it doesn't sit well inside the pictures for me. But be that as may, I enjoy this story a lot. I would more than the lettering, I would have liked coloring that kind of helped me enjoy the excitement of Simonson's art rather than dulling it down. The story is good. The only thing is, this character Thor, for 5 issues now, really is moving alone through this beyond Ragnarok mythological world. And it would be nice if he had some regular companions with him to talk to and stuff. That would humanize him, or just give the book a little more swing to it. Speaking of swing, I tried reading these with my daughter, and she found them boring. And that kind of affected my reading of it. And then I reread them by myself, and I liked them a lot. I think because it honors these characters, the Marvel family, and the art honors them, and the art is wonderful. It brings out, in many ways, the best qualities of these characters and why they're fun. On the other hand, it's written by Jeff Parker, and I've had this problem with his writing before, that it feels distanced. It doesn't have that swing to it. It doesn't get you into the story quite as much as I would like. So it was decent, but it just felt like somewhere deep down inside something was missing. But did I say I love the art? I love the art. I'd never even really heard of this Doc Shaner artist before. I've got to find out what else he's drawn. I think I may have seen like a Adventures of Superman story by him, but other than that, it's every page is marvelous to look at in kind of a modern yet retro way. Frankenstein Underground #3. This is fun to read. It's better, and things were livelier than the last issue. But the story is all over the place. It feels like a stew. They just keep throwing in new ingredients. It doesn't say how many issues there are. I thought at first it was just a 5-issue series, but maybe it's going to go longer. The art is a pleasure. Great coloring that is perfect for it in this case. So yeah, in terms of sort of wacky, crazy fantasy stuff with the horror overlay, this is not nearly as good as, say, Rat God going on at the same time, but it's worth reading. It's fun. Okay, those are the comic books that I've read recently and wanted to just say a few words about. And I think for once I've been fairly brief, talking about 9 comics in about 12 minutes. So thanks for joining me, and I'm sure I'll be talking